Picture this. You place a trade, and within minutes you're up $50. Your heart races, your palms sweat. Every fibre of your being screams at you to close that position and lock in the win. So you do. You click sell, and instantly you feel that rush of victory. You made money. You were right. But then you watch, helpless, as that same trade continues climbing without you. What should have been a $200 winner becomes a $50 consolation prize. Sound familiar? This is the profit-taking trap. And it's quietly destroying more trading accounts than any market crash ever could. The cruel irony is that most traders think they're being smart when they close winners early. They think they're managing risk. They think they're being disciplined. But what they're really doing is guaranteeing their own failure one small win at a time. You're not alone in this struggle. In fact, you're part of a pattern so predictable, so universal, that it spans every market, every strategy, and every level of experience. From the complete beginner with their first $100 to the seasoned professional managing millions. The numbers don't lie. Most traders close their winning positions at a fraction of their potential. They leave money on the table not because they don't know better, but because their own psychology betrays them at the moment of truth. Here's what's really happening inside your mind when you see those green numbers on your screen. Your brain, hardwired by millions of years of evolution, is designed to keep you alive. Not rich, alive. And in the ancient world, taking what you could get meant survival. The hunter who waited for the perfect shot might starve. The gatherer who held out for better fruit might go hungry. Your ancestors survived because they grabbed immediate rewards over uncertain futures. But the trading world operates on different rules. Here, patience pays. Here, the hunter who waits for the perfect shot feeds his family for weeks. Here, the gatherer who holds out for the ripest fruit builds wealth that compounds across generations. Your survival instincts, so perfectly adapted to ancient dangers, become your greatest enemy in modern markets. Every time you close a winner too early, you're fighting a battle that's rigged against you from the start. Your amygdala, that ancient alarm system buried deep in your brain, treats every market fluctuation like a saber-toothed tiger. It takes half a second to register a threat, but several seconds to recognize opportunity. When your winning position pulls back even slightly, that threat detection system floods your body with stress hormones. Your rational mind knows the trade still has room to run, but your emotional brain is screaming danger. This is why you can study charts for hours, develop the perfect strategy, and still find yourself clicking the close button at the worst possible moment. You're not lacking knowledge. You're not missing some secret indicator or magical technique. You're fighting your own biology. And until you understand this battle, you'll keep losing it. The pain of watching profits disappear feels approximately twice as intense as the pleasure of gaining those same profits in the first place. This isn't opinion. This is measurable documented psychology called loss aversion. Your brain literally processes the possibility of losing $50 as more significant than the possibility of gaining $50. So when you're sitting on a winner, the fear of giving back those gains overwhelms your desire to capture bigger ones. Think about the last time you closed a trade early. Remember that feeling in your chest? That tightness, that urgency, that voice whispering, "Take it now before it's gone." That wasn't wisdom speaking, that was fear. Fear disguised as prudence. Fear masquerading as smart money management. But fear nonetheless. And here's where it gets even more insidious. Every time you close a winner early and it continues moving in your favor, you're not just losing money, you're training your brain to make the same mistake again. You're reinforcing the neural pathways that prioritize immediate gratification over optimal outcomes. You're literally rewiring yourself for mediocrity. The traders who break through this trap understand something that most never learn. They realize that trading isn't about being right. It's about being profitable. And being profitable means learning to sit in discomfort. It means watching your winning positions fluctuate without flinching. It means trusting your analysis even when every instinct screams at you to run. Consider this scenario. You have a strategy that wins 60% of the time. Not bad, right? But here's the catch. Your average winner is $50 because you keep cutting them short. Your average loser is $75 because you hold on to hope too long. Do the math. 6 wins at $50 each equals $300. 4 losses at $75 each equals $300. You break even despite being right more often than you're wrong. Now imagine the same scenario, but you let your winners run to their natural conclusion. Your average winner becomes $150. Your average loser stays the same at $75. 6 wins at $150 equals $900. 4 losses at $75 equals $300. Net profit, $600. Same win rate, same strategy, triple the results. This is the mathematical reality of the profit-taking trap. Every early exit doesn't just cost you money on that individual trade. It destroys the fundamental asymmetry that makes trading profitable in the long run. You need your winners to be bigger than your losers, much bigger. But when you consistently cap your upside while letting your downside run free, you're essentially playing a game where the house always wins. The most successful traders in history understood this principle intuitively. Jesse Livermore, the legendary speculator who made and lost fortunes in the early 20th century, once said that he made his money sitting, not thinking. He wasn't talking about physical posture. He was talking about the mental discipline to let profitable positions develop without interference. Warren Buffett built his empire on the same principle. When asked about his favorite holding period for a stock, he famously replied, "Forever." This wasn't hyperbole. It was recognition that the biggest profits come to those who can withstand the temporary discomfort of uncertainty in pursuit of larger long-term gains. Richard Dennis, the commodities trader who turned a small stake into hundreds of millions, trained a group of novice traders called the Turtles, using similar principles. The core of their system wasn't complex technical analysis or insider information. It was the psychological discipline to cut losses quickly and let profits run. The traders who succeeded in his program weren't necessarily the smartest or most experienced. They were the ones who could follow the rules even when it felt wrong. But here's what separates you from these legendary figures. It's not intelligence, it's not capital, it's not even luck. It's the ability to recognize that your natural instincts are your greatest obstacle. They learned to work against their biology, not with it. They developed the mental framework to see volatility as opportunity, not threat. They trained themselves to find comfort in discomfort. Most traders approach the market like they're trying to solve a puzzle. They think if they can just find the right combination of indicators, the perfect entry technique, or the secret pattern that nobody else sees, they'll unlock consistent profits. But the market isn't a puzzle to be solved. It's a mirror that reflects back your deepest psychological patterns. And until you learn to manage those patterns, all the technical knowledge in the world won't save you. The profit-taking trap isn't just about individual trades, it's about identity. When you close a winner early, you're not just securing profits, you're reinforcing a version of yourself that settles for less. You're strengthening the neural pathways that choose comfort over growth, certainty over potential, immediate gratification over long-term wealth. Every great trader eventually faces this crossroads. The moment when they realize that their biggest enemy isn't the market, isn't their broker, isn't even their strategy. It's the voice in their head that says, "Take it now. Don't risk it. Play it safe." The ones who break through learn to quiet that voice, not by ignoring it, but by understanding what it really represents. The ancient programming that kept your ancestors alive but keeps you poor. This understanding changes everything. Suddenly, holding a winning position isn't about hoping it continues. It's about following a predetermined plan based on logic, not emotion. The anxiety doesn't disappear, but it loses its power to dictate your actions. You learn to sit with uncertainty because you understand that uncertainty is where profits live. The market has a way of exposing your deepest patterns, your hidden fears, your unconscious habits. And nowhere is this more evident than in how you handle winning positions. The very moment you should be celebrating, you're consumed by anxiety. The very moment you should be patient, you're overcome by urgency. This psychological warfare happens in milliseconds. Your winning trade pulls back $5, and suddenly your heart rate spikes. Your palms get sweaty. Your mind floods with worst-case scenarios. What if it reverses completely? What if this small profit turns into a massive loss? What if you're wrong again? These thoughts aren't random. They're the result of cognitive patterns that have been carved into your neural pathways through repetition. Every time you've watched a winner turn into a loser, every time you've experienced that gut-wrenching feeling of profits evaporating before your eyes, you've strengthened the mental circuits that prioritize immediate security over long-term growth. The neuroscience behind this is both fascinating and terrifying. Your brain's threat detection system treats financial losses as existential dangers. When you see red numbers on your screen, the same neural networks that kept your ancestors alive in the wild spring into action. Stress hormones flood your system. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for rational decision-making, goes offline. You're no longer a calculated trader executing a well-thought-out plan. You're a frightened animal trying to escape danger. But here's where it gets truly insidious. The very act of closing a winning trade early provides immediate psychological relief. Your nervous system calms down. The stress hormones subside. You feel a sense of control, of safety, of accomplishment. Your brain interprets this as positive reinforcement, making you more likely to repeat the same behavior in the future. You're literally training yourself to be mediocre. Every early exit strengthens the neural pathways that choose comfort over growth. Every time you prioritize certainty over potential, you're programming your subconscious mind to settle for less. The market becomes your therapist, and unfortunately, you're teaching it all the wrong lessons about what you really want. Consider the trader who meticulously tracked every decision over 3 months. 25 total trades, 4 complete losers, 4 winners that hit their original targets, 15 winners that were closed early but would have reached their intended profit levels. The mathematics were staggering. Actual gain over 3 weeks, 2.3%. Potential gain if discipline had been maintained, 4.3%. Nearly double the returns sacrificed on the altar of emotional comfort. This isn't an isolated case. This is the norm. The data reveals a pattern so consistent it might as well be a law of nature. Traders systematically underperform their own strategies, not because of technical failures, but because of psychological ones. They create systems that work, then sabotage those systems the moment discomfort arises. The disposition effect, as behavioral economists call it, is one of the most documented patterns in trading psychology. We sell our winners too early and hold our losers too long. We do the exact opposite of what logic dictates. We cut our flowers and water our weeds, and we do it with such consistency that it becomes predictable. But why? Why do intelligent people consistently make decisions that contradict their own best interests? The answer lies in the fundamental mismatch between how our brains evolved and how modern markets operate. For millions of years, immediate rewards meant survival. The early human who spotted fruit on a tree and grabbed it quickly was more likely to survive than the one who waited to see if better fruit might appear tomorrow. Our brains developed to prioritize immediate certain benefits over delayed uncertain ones. This served us well when survival was the primary concern, but trading operates on the opposite principle. The biggest rewards come to those who can delay gratification. The most successful traders are those who can sit with uncertainty, who can watch their positions fluctuate without flinching, who can trust their analysis even when every instinct screams at them to act. This creates a fundamental tension at the heart of every trading decision. Your rational mind knows that letting winners run is the mathematically correct approach. Your emotional brain sees that pullback in your winning position and interprets it as a threat to your survival. The emotional brain almost always wins this battle because it operates faster and with more intensity than rational thought. Understanding this dynamic changes everything. Suddenly, the urge to close winners early isn't a personal failing. It's a predictable biological response that can be managed, trained, and eventually overcome. The anxiety you feel when holding a winning position isn't weakness. It's your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do, just in the wrong context. The most successful traders in history didn't overcome these impulses by being superhuman. They overcame them by developing systems that worked with their psychology rather than against it. They created rules that removed discretion from the equation. They automated their responses so that emotions couldn't hijack their decision-making process. Jesse Livermore understood this intuitively. His famous quote about making money by sitting, not thinking, wasn't about physical inactivity. It was about psychological discipline. He learned that his biggest profits came not from brilliant analysis or perfect timing, but from the ability to do nothing when doing nothing was the right thing to do. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive lesson in trading. Activity feels productive. Movement feels like progress. Doing something, anything, feels better than sitting with uncertainty. But in trading, the highest paid skill is often the ability to resist action. The most valuable moments are often the ones where you choose not to trade, not to adjust, not to interfere with a plan that's working. The psychological pressure to act is immense. Every tick against your position feels like a judgment on your abilities. Every small pullback in a winning trade feels like the beginning of a catastrophic reversal. Your mind creates elaborate stories about why you should exit now, why this time is different, why the safe play is the smart play. But these stories are just that, stories. Narratives created by a mind that's uncomfortable with uncertainty. The market doesn't care about your comfort level. It doesn't adjust its movements based on your psychological needs. It simply moves according to the collective actions of millions of participants, most of whom are struggling with the same psychological battles you are. This is why position sizing is so critical to psychological success. When you risk too much on a single trade, every movement feels like a potential catastrophe. Your nervous system can't distinguish between a 2% account risk and a 20% account risk in terms of threat level. Both trigger the same fight or flight response. Both flood your system with stress hormones. Both make rational decision-making nearly impossible. The solution isn't to eliminate risk. Risk is inherent to trading. The solution is to calibrate your risk to a level where your emotional brain doesn't perceive existential threat. When you can afford to lose what you're risking, both financially and psychologically, you're free to make decisions based on logic rather than fear. This psychological freedom is what separates professional traders from amateurs. Professionals don't feel less fear, they feel the same emotions as everyone else. But they've learned to act in spite of those emotions. They've developed the mental discipline to execute their plans even when every fibre of their being wants to do something else. The path to this level of psychological control isn't mysterious or complex. It's built through repetition, through consciously choosing the difficult path over the easy one, again and again, until the difficult path becomes natural. Every time you hold a winner through a pullback, you're strengthening the neural pathways that prioritize long-term thinking over short-term comfort. Every time you resist the urge to close early, you're training your brain to tolerate uncertainty. Every time you follow your predetermined exit strategy instead of your emotional impulses, you're building the psychological muscle that will eventually make you unstoppable. This training is uncomfortable. It's supposed to be. Comfort is the enemy of growth. The moment you become comfortable with your current level of performance is the moment you stop improving. The anxiety you feel when holding winning positions isn't a bug in your psychological system. It's a feature. It's your mind's way of telling you that you're pushing beyond your current comfort zone into new territory. The traders who break through to consistent profitability learn to reframe this anxiety. Instead of seeing it as a warning to retreat, they see it as confirmation that they're doing something right. Instead of interpreting psychological discomfort as danger, they recognize it as growth. This reframe is everything. When you understand that the feelings you're trying to avoid are actually the feelings that indicate progress, everything changes. The urge to close early becomes a signal to hold longer. The anxiety about giving back profits becomes confirmation that you're positioned for larger gains. But this transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's built through thousands of small decisions, each one either reinforcing your old patterns or creating new ones. The choice you make in the next trade, and the one after that, and the one after that, determines which version of yourself you're becoming. Most traders never make this connection. They think their psychology will automatically improve as they gain experience. They believe that knowledge alone will overcome emotion. They assume that understanding the problem is the same as solving it. But psychology doesn't work that way. Understanding is just the first step. The real work happens in the moment of decision, when emotion and logic collide and you have to choose which one to follow. The market provides endless opportunities to practice this choice. Every winning trade that pulls back is a chance to strengthen your discipline. Every moment of anxiety is an opportunity to build psychological resilience. Every urge to close early is a test of your commitment to long-term success over short-term comfort. The traders who pass these tests consistently don't do so because they're naturally gifted or emotionally superior. They do so because they've made the conscious decision to use every trade as training for their mind. They've committed to building the psychological infrastructure that will support long-term success, even when it means accepting short-term discomfort. This commitment separates the winners from everyone else, not the commitment to make money. Everyone wants to make money. The commitment to become the type of person who can make money consistently. The commitment to psychological growth over immediate gratification. The commitment to building character through adversity rather than avoiding adversity altogether. When you make this commitment, everything about trading changes. Positions that once filled you with anxiety become opportunities to practice patience. Pullbacks that once triggered panic become chances to demonstrate trust in your analysis. The market transforms from an adversary, trying to take your money into a training ground for developing mental strength. This transformation isn't just about trading. The psychological skills you develop in the market transfer to every other area of your life. The ability to delay gratification, to make decisions based on logic rather than emotion, to remain calm under pressure, to trust your analysis even when others disagree. These skills compound far beyond your trading account. The ability to sit with discomfort becomes your greatest asset. While others panic at the first sign of volatility, you learn to see it as the market testing your resolve. While others chase every blip and movement, you develop the rare skill of strategic inaction. This isn't about becoming emotionally numb, it's about becoming emotionally intelligent. The difference is profound. Emotional numbness would make you reckless, disconnected from the very feedback that markets provide. Emotional intelligence makes you responsive without being reactive. It allows you to feel the fear, acknowledge the greed, recognize the impatience, and then choose your actions based on logic rather than impulse. This choice, made consistently over time, rewires your entire relationship with uncertainty. Most people spend their lives trying to eliminate uncertainty. They want guarantees, predictions, assurances that their decisions will work out. But the market operates in a realm where uncertainty is the only certainty. Learning to thrive in this environment transforms you in ways that extend far beyond your trading account. Think about the most successful people you know, in any field. They share one common trait: the ability to make decisions with incomplete information. They can act while others hesitate. They can commit while others waver. They can persist while others quit. These aren't innate abilities. They're skills developed through practice, through repeatedly choosing growth over comfort. Trading provides the perfect laboratory for developing these skills. Every position you take is a lesson in decision-making under pressure. Every winning trade that pulls back is a masterclass in delayed gratification. Every losing trade is a seminar in emotional regulation and objective analysis. But here's what most traders miss. They see these experiences as obstacles to overcome rather than opportunities to develop. They want the lessons to end so the profits can begin. They don't realize that the lessons are where the real value lies. The profits are just a byproduct of mastering the lessons. This is why traders who focus obsessively on money often struggle to make it consistently. They're optimizing for the wrong variable. They're trying to maximize the outcome while ignoring the process that creates the outcome. It's like trying to lose weight by staring at the scale instead of changing your eating habits. The traders who break through understand that money is a scorecard, not a goal. Their real goal is to become the type of person who can make money consistently. They focus on building character, developing discipline, and strengthening their psychological foundation. The money follows naturally from this internal development. Consider how this applies to holding winning positions. When you close early because you're afraid of giving back profits, you're optimizing for immediate emotional relief rather than long-term financial success. You're choosing to feel good now at the expense of feeling wealthy later. This trade-off becomes automatic, unconscious, inevitable unless you consciously choose otherwise. The conscious choice requires understanding what you're really trading. You're not just trading currencies or stocks or futures. You're trading your attention, your emotional energy, your psychological capacity. Every decision either strengthens or weakens your ability to make better decisions in the future. When you hold a winning position through temporary adversity, you're not just potentially making more money on that trade. You're building the psychological muscle memory that will serve you in countless future situations. You're teaching your nervous system that temporary discomfort doesn't require immediate action. You're training your mind to trust process over impulse. This training is invisible to outside observers. They see only the results, not the internal work that created them. They see the trader who holds positions calmly and assume it's natural talent. They don't see the hundreds of times that trader chose discipline over comfort, logic over emotion, long-term thinking over short-term relief. The most profound realization comes when you understand that your biggest trading obstacle isn't lack of knowledge, insufficient capital, or poor market conditions. Your biggest obstacle is the version of yourself that settles for less than your potential, the version that chooses immediate gratification over delayed rewards, the version that prioritizes comfort over growth. Every time you close a winner early, you're reinforcing this limited version of yourself. Every time you hold through discomfort, you're strengthening the version that can achieve extraordinary things. These aren't just trading decisions, they're identity decisions. They determine who you become. The market doesn't just reward good analysis or perfect timing, it rewards psychological consistency. It rewards the ability to execute the same disciplined approach regardless of external circumstances or internal emotions. This consistency is rare because it's difficult to maintain. Most people's decision-making fluctuates with their mood, their recent experiences, their level of stress. Professional traders develop what psychologists call emotional regulation. They don't feel fewer emotions than amateur traders. They feel the same fear, greed, excitement, and frustration. But they've learned to recognize these emotions as information rather than instructions. They can feel fear without being controlled by it. They can experience greed without being driven by it. This emotional awareness transforms trading from a reactive activity into a proactive one. Instead of being pushed around by market movements, you begin to dance with them. Instead of fighting volatility, you learn to use it. Instead of fearing uncertainty, you learn to profit from it. The shift happens gradually, then suddenly. For months you might struggle with the same patterns, making the same mistakes, feeling trapped by your own psychology. Then something clicks. A trade that would have sent you into panic mode a year ago barely registers as noteworthy. A winning position that pulls back doesn't trigger the urge to close. You realize you've developed something invaluable, unshakable confidence in your ability to handle whatever the market throws at you. This confidence isn't arrogance. Arrogance assumes you can control outcomes. True confidence accepts that you can't control outcomes, but trusts your ability to respond appropriately to whatever happens. It's the difference between trying to force the market to do what you want and learning to profit from what the market actually does. The practical implications are enormous. When you're no longer afraid of temporary losses, you can hold winning positions longer. When you're not emotionally attached to being right, you can cut losing positions quickly. When you're not trying to prove anything to yourself or others, you can make decisions based purely on probability and logic. But this transformation requires something most people aren't willing to give: time. Not just time in the market, but time spent developing yourself, time reflecting on your decisions, time analyzing your emotional patterns, time building the mental infrastructure that supports consistent performance. The profit-taking trap isn't just about money. It's about who you choose to become. Every early exit is a vote for the version of yourself that settles for less. Every moment you hold through discomfort is a vote for the trader you're capable of becoming. The market will always test your resolve, but now you understand what it's really testing: your willingness to trust process over impulse, patience over panic, discipline over desire. The next time you see those green numbers on your screen and feel that familiar urge to close early, remember this moment. Remember that your greatest profits come not from perfect timing, but from perfect patience. If this changed how you see your own psychology, hit subscribe for more lessons in trading discipline. And tell me in the comments, what's the biggest mental shift you're ready to make right now?